So I watched Spike Lee's latest release, Highest to Lowest, starring Denzel Washington, ASAP Rocky, Jeffrey Wright, and many others. And let me be very clear, I think that you have to be a Spike Lee fan, as I am, in order to understand the beautiful storytelling, nuances, as well as cinematography of this film. Let's get into it. So Highest to Lowest is a film about David King, who's played by Denzel Washington. David is a high-ranking executive at a record label. His goal is to buy back his record label, but his son ends up getting kidnapped and held for ransom. $17.5 million ransom, to be clear. In order to pay this ransom, David would have to be willing to sell his penthouse and basically take every dollar that he owns in order to pay the ransom to get his son back. And he's willing to do that, until he finds out that it's actually not his son that's been kidnapped, but it's the son of his close friend and confidant named Paul. Paul is played by Jeffrey Wright. So now David is in the dilemma of, does he do the right thing? Shout out to the callback to that movie. Does he do the right thing and pay the ransom and risk everything he owns, including not being able to buy back his record label, so essentially put his own goals on the back burner? Or does he prioritize himself and just, his friend's son, you gotta be good. You gotta sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? So that is the dilemma throughout the film. But the film goes on to challenge the audience in their understanding of classism, right? Their understanding of being high to low. Now, this is when I have to shout out Spike Lee's brilliant, colorful storytelling and his use of various cinematic techniques in order to tell a story. One of the things Spike is known for is really foreshadowing and building characterization of his characters through their names. In the film Get on the Bus, which is one of my favorite Spike Lee movies, he has one of the protagonists, Jeremiah, be the weeping prophet, which is who Jeremiah actually was in the Bible. Jeremiah in the Bible was known for trying to warn the people of what was to come and how they needed to get it together. That was Ossie Davis' character in Get on the Bus. Jeremiah in Get on the Bus was the elder who was trying to warn the other black men that we as a people have to get it together, or this is what's going to happen to you. He was the weeping prophet. In this film, Highest to Lowest, Denzel's character is named David King, or King David. King David in the Bible was the shepherd boy who nobody believed could be king. He was the underdog, but God chose him. He was the chosen one who elevated to become king. And that's exactly who David King is in this film. He was the black man from the hood that made it out, that made it to the highest of highs. And ASAP Rocky's character, Young Felon, wanted to be like David. He just wanted David to see him. You are the king. You made it to the high. You made it to the penthouse. And I'm looking up at you. Your highest was my lowest. I just wanted you to see me. So that is what the audience is being challenged with understanding. What does it look like and feel like for somebody's high to be someone else's low? And what does it look like when the tables are turned? The character Paul, played by Jeffrey Wright, is another way that Spike uses the name to kind of build characterization or description of this character. Paul in the Bible was known as one of the most faithful disciples. Paul in this film was a faithful disciple of David King, or King David, right? He was his right-hand man. He's the most loyal person that David has. Paul has, for some reason that we never find out, he's about to go serve time in prison for something. But even in that time, he's loyal and faithful to David. Paul is not of the same class as David. He's actually his driver and he works for him. When they find out that it's Paul's son who's kidnapped instead of David's son, the police treat him as less than. They are given less attention and less love and care for the case. They are way more aggressive with him, especially once they find out that he actually has a background, a felony background, and he's challenged to remain faithful to his faith in Islam, but also to his faith in David, as he waits for David to decide whether or not he's going to risk it all to save Paul's son. Although Paul Paul in many ways alludes to the fact that he risked it all to support David and help David get to where he needs to go, right? And that is another way that we get to see that juxtaposition of highest to lowest. David is relieved that it's not his son who's kidnapped. Once again, he's at the high, but here we have Paul who's at the low, where he realizes that it's actually his son who's kidnapped and he's not even getting fair and equal treatment. That juxtaposition of class, highest to lowest. It's important to understand that Spike Lee loves to use satire, and he used it quite a bit in this film. Satire is the literary art of using irony or exaggeration in order to really highlight or drive home a certain point. It wasn't easy for David to make a decision about what was the right thing to do. Does he sacrifice himself to save his friend's son, or does he prioritize himself and his wellness and his goals, right? It wasn't easy to make that decision, and there was one scene in the film where David is like weeping about the decision he has to make and the pressure that he feels. But when a black man comes into the room, David feels like he has to hide his emotions. He pretends to have a summer cold, right? Like he's like, it's a summer cold, it's a summer cold anyway, and tries to go on business as usual and put on this armor of toughness. Although that was a very exaggerated scene, it was very realistic for a black man to feel the need to hide his emotions, even when he's in the midst of a tough decision or a high pressure situation. It's important to note that when David felt like he couldn't trust anyone with his emotions, he turned to the ancestors and the elders. And this was another one of those very satirical, exaggerated scenes. But he has pictures of all of these chosen ones on his wall. And he starts asking, what would you do, James? What would you do, Aretha? What would you do, Jimmy? What would you do, Stevie? And he's talking about James Brown, Aretha Franklin, Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Wonder, all of these other black icons who were likely the chosen ones of their families and of the community. And they probably understand what it's like to be in a high pressure situation where you have to sacrifice your own dreams, goals, desires, and potentially your own safety and security to save someone else. I thought that that was a beautiful way to highlight the spiritual practice of ancestor veneration that we hold close in black culture. The fact that we do consult our ancestors and we do ask ourselves, what would grandma do? What would granddaddy do? What would mom, dad, or any other person in our family that we hold dear and legendary? We will consult and ask, what would they do? You know, so I thought that that was a great way to add in some ancestor veneration elements to the film. And of course, I have to acknowledge how Spike Lee is always going to make sure he is capturing that New York energy throughout his films. There was a scene in the film where it's a very high pressure situation and New York is still very much New York. He had the Puerto Rican Day Parade going. He was showing folks dancing and singing, the trains going by. All the while, this very high pressure situation is happening and all those characters are trying to focus on themselves, but the train is still crowded and the parade is happening and there's music blasting. It was a great way to capture the fullness of New York and how the city never sleeps, even when you want it to be still so you can handle your business. Then there's this turning point in the film where the audience has to really define for themselves, what does it mean to be high versus low to you? Both David King and Young Felon become hood famous. And for Young Felon, this is the high in his life. He said, this is his goal. All I wanted was to be loved by my people. I just wanted to be noticed and be seen from my people. That's all I cared about. But for David, that's his low. He's loved in the hood and seen as a hero in the hood. But that's never just what he wanted. He wanted to be that big executive. He wanted to own the record label. He wanted love on a global, universal level. So the hood love for him was his low, but the hood love for Young Felon was his high. So the audience becomes challenged to really ask themselves, is being loved by your people enough for you? Is just having love in the hood and being good in the hood enough for you? The real question is, would you define hood love as a high or a low. And I have to shout out Spike because throughout this entire film, there were a lot of moments that he had his signature cinematic techniques, right? Like he did the famous dolly shot with multiple characters in the film. And if you all don't know the dolly shot, it is the beautiful moment where a character is kind of still and they are moving through the world as the world around them continues to flow, which is very symbolic of moments that we all have in life where life will kind of sit you down and force you to focus, but the world around you will keep going. It's that moment in Malcolm X where Malcolm realizes that his end is coming near and he's just walking down the street contemplating, but the world around him still is going. It's that moment in Crooklyn where Troy has huffed, right? And she's high and she's kind of stuck because of she's been huffing, but the world around her keeps going. So there's multiple moments in his film where that happens. Well, young felon, David King, as well as one of the officers, many characters get that famous dolly shot, which once again, we all have to ask ourselves or reflect on a time where life has set you down, but the world kept going. That is that dolly shot energy. Another Spike Lee technique is the repetition, the slowing down, and the focusing of the camera on certain things in order to highlight it as a beautiful cultural representation. In Highest to Lowest, he did that with the famous black dap, right? Black people are known for greeting each other, having these beautiful energetic exchanges through sacred handshakes that have a lot of symbolism in every movement. Throughout this film, there were multiple moments where he showed black men embracing each other through the dap, exchanging energy and love through the dap, and he would slow it down, focus on it, and sometimes repeat it. And I really love that because, again, one of Spike's passion is highlighting the beauty of black culture, as he also calls us to the carpet to focus and talk about the things that we need to grow in. Another Spike Lee signature cinematic technique that I love is the sepia tone camcorder style shots that he utilizes to really focus in on the classic energy and the value of something. A lot of times he did that when it came to the black family, right? So there was these flashback moments where he took time to focus on the beauty of the black family and what the black family looks like or can look like. And I really love that he took the time to acknowledge that. And another way that Spike continued to highlight the black family was by highlighting black love between David and his wife. David's wife throughout the film was a beautiful demonstration of that divine feminine nurturing energy, while also being very logic-minded and not afraid to challenge David, right? Even when they were in the midst of deciding about what to do, when it came to the record label, when it came to paying the ransom, Pam supported David, but she also challenged him to share his thought process with her, right? She asked him the right questions, but she also never demeaned him. She poured love into him and poured confidence into him by reminding him of who he was. So I love how Spike took the time to really highlight the power of the black woman when she's highlighted in her divine feminine and elevated in her divine feminine energy. And throughout the entire film, Spike continued to challenge the audience's relationship with high to low, especially when it came to class. Throughout the film, he constantly showed David and his family being surrounded by black luxury. Unfortunately, a lot of people do not consider black culture as luxurious and high class. Subconsciously, many people even see black as low. So that challenge of high to low by showing luxury black art all throughout the background, multi-million-dollar Basquiat pieces, having paintings of Toni Morrison, paintings by Kehinde Wiley, these luxurious black art pieces all around the home, through the score of the music, having our classic black 70s and 80s songs play, while also having some opera play during very serious moments. When you see a black family going through turmoil, going through struggle, it's worthy of an operatic symphony as well, right? But unfortunately, a lot of people didn't even understand the score of the film, because why would he have this symphony playing when this black family is struggling? It's because a black family's struggle and a black family's drama is just as high class and worthy of opera as any other family, as an Othello play. Shout out to Denzel playing in Othello right now on Broadway, right? it's just as worthy. We don't always have to only have hip hop or only have jazz or only have blues, which is also high class and should be deemed as high class and just as high class as the symphonies and the operas. So if you struggle to understand the score of this film and to understand why he would have symphonies and operas playing during the dramatic moments, you might want to check your relationship and understanding of worthiness. What is worthy of a symphony? What is worthy of an opera? What is worthy of 70s Sly Stone and all our other 80s classics? Like, what is worthy of that for you? And I have to acknowledge all of the great callbacks to his previous films, especially the films that he did with Denzel Washington. Spike had callbacks to Mo Better Blues and He Got Game. There was callbacks to Inside Man and of course Malcolm X, especially the infamous slam scene. Y'all know the gif where Malcolm is like slamming the desk. There was a scene where he did an homage to that, where Denzel, playing David King, kind of slams his papers down, and he did, of course, the classic Spike repetition moment to really highlight that moment of frustration. And it's interesting because in that moment, David was actually frustrated because being the chosen one, he's always the called on one. He's been the chosen one to elevate in class, and he's always being called on for something, right? People are looking for help, for support, for him to pay something, for him to sacrifice something for them. So he was expressing genuine frustration with being the chosen one, the King David. And I must shout out Spike for really giving ASAP Rocky the opportunity to go toe-to-toe with Denzel. There was a moment where they were getting that classic Spike Lee straight on, shoulders up, face shot where all you can do is act down, right? So to see ASAP Rocky, a young brother, in Denzel Washington, an OG, an elder in the acting game, have that back and forth and that classic like headshot, and all they could do is act and act and act and act, and they did a great job. So shout out to Spike for being an example of kind of passing the torch and giving young people the opportunity to show their greatness. And he did that through multiple young black men in the film, which I thought was great. And again, that was symbolized in the film. What does it look like to pass the torch from elder to youth? What youth are worthy of that? What is the definition of that? Overall, Highest to Lowest was a great movie to me. I do recognize that I'm biased. I'm a Spike Lee fan, so I'm a bit biased, but I really, really love this movie. I love the conversations that we were able to have after watching the movie, conversations about class, conversations about the culture, conversations about, is hood love enough for you? Would that be a high for you, right? So a lot of great combos was able to come from this one film, and to me, that's what Spike Lee does. To me, he's a great example of having the ability to go above and beyond and be the best in Hollywood. And he showed us that with Malcolm X, but also being able to stay true to the culture and tell beautiful black stories in a very colorful, unique way, highlight the beauty of black culture, while also calling us in and saying, hey, y'all, let's ask ourselves these questions and let's continue to grow as a community. Again, great, great film in my opinion. Y'all go check it out and enjoy. Much love.